Like you said, when people hear a real estate agent, they just see, well, they shake hands, they negotiate deals, they go to open houses. But there's so much more to a successful real estate team than that.
There's really kind of two paths to be a very successful agent. And one is buying leads and kind of cold business. And one of them is the path I decided to go of just kind of referral based, right? And not chase cold business.
You can teach people skills. You can teach people things. It's more important that we find someone with the right attitude who wants to grow with the team, who wants to do a good job and to be successful. So that was a huge part of it, is just trying to find someone who I think would be a good fit with us and want to grow with the team.
Welcome back to another episode of The Flip Side with Blake Schultz. I'm your host, Blake, and I've got a very special guest, Amber McLeod. A very different episode because you actually are my executive assistant. So this is going to be kind of an inside look on our business and what happens behind the scenes and kind of in front, because you're somewhat client facing as well. Yeah. But this is going to be fun. This is going to, I want this to be truly a look kind of behind the door on what actually happens, because the general perception of a realtor is like, oh, we just go to open houses and eat free cheese and drink wine, which is not all the case, not all that we do. So first, tell me about yourself. Where'd you come from? Who are you? What's your background?
Yeah. So I am from Alabama. I've lived here my whole life, but I just moved to Birmingham, the Birmingham area, specifically Montevallo, to go to college, and just loved it and stayed around. And my high school sweetheart, Chris, he followed me here, and now we have two beautiful kids. We live in Helena, and just building a life that we love together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you get in real estate?
So before real estate, I actually have a degree in early childhood education. So that's kind of a jump, but I got the degree and started working in childcare and realized that although I love working with kids, I really was passionate about like the administrative side of things. So I found myself like in the office helping out with tasks and helping organize things and plan events and things in the office of the daycares that I worked at. And that kind of led me to realizing that what I really like to do is help people and serve people. And so that kind of got me into the assistant world, the administrative world. And from there, I started at a company that is still around in Birmingham called Select My Space. I don't know if I've told you this before, but it's kind of like realtors for apartment renters. Mm-hmm. So I was a leasing agent, so I would help people. I would do what realtors do essentially on the outside. I would go around, drive people to different apartment complexes. We had contracts with them. And that was kind of the first toe into the real estate world. And from there, I just kind of continued to help out in various administrative roles until COVID, and I was looking for something more virtual, and I became a real estate agent, an assistant, for two realtors in Texas, and from there, that's kind of what led me to you. So I met Meryl at the library, and our daughters were playing, and we just kind of started talking, and we talked about, what we did, and we were both transaction coordinators at the time, like administrative assistants. And when you had that position come open, you spoke to her and she called me. So Here we are.
Yeah. And what a difference my business looks because you're here. It's truly leaps and bounds. While Cindy was amazing, she had her role that she was fantastic at and decided to go a different direction. And so here we are.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So one of the things that you've created, one of the many things you've created for our business is called Notion. Maybe we can get John to kind of throw it up on the screen and just give kind of no secret information on there. But the organization that you've brought to the team is just incredible. I run around very unorganized. And the whole idea is to have the perception outside looking in that we're a very well-organized and put-together team. And that's because of the work you do. So thank you, first off. So let's look at, I've got a couple questions for you that I did not memorize. But so we've got your story on how you came about the team. Let's talk about some of those behind-the-scene things that people don't know that, one, either happen in real estate at all, or that's something that we execute on their behalf that they just don't see.
Yeah.
What are some of those things?
Yeah. So like you said, when people hear a real estate agent, they just see, well, they shake hands, they negotiate deals, they go to open houses. But there's so much more to a successful real estate team than that. And a lot of what I do is very much behind the scenes, very much just kind of keeping things running. So some things that you wouldn't think would need to be done are, you have all these clients, you're fantastic with them, you help them in amazing ways, but then retaining those clients is a big part of it too, because you work from word of mouth and referrals, and so doing things to help outreach those clients, so planning client events and keeping our systems up to date with all of their information, making sure that we have those touch points to reach out to them. That's a big part, and just keeping things organized. You have a team of 4 people, and so to keep that running as well, there's lots of different gears going. You have a transaction coordinator. We have John, who's the virtual assistant in the Philippines, and just keeping the team managed and organized.
Yeah. Well, a big part of that is, so what I kind of discovered early on, and you've helped me be good at it, is there's really kind of 2 paths to be a very successful agent. And one is buying leads and kind of cold business. And one of them is the path I decided to go of just kind of referral based, right? And not chase cold business. What I mean by that is anyone going on realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, that I think Zillow bought, and any of those sites, homes.com, agents pay to be the agent to contact on there. So if you're scrolling at night on Zillow and you see contact agent now, more than likely, 9 times out of 10, that's not the listing agent, but that's an agent that's paying to be in front of you. Upwards of $80,000 to $100,000 a year to be there, and you can have have a very successful business. There's agents here in Birmingham that have a very successful business spending that kind of money to get you to click on it and to call them to see that house. That is one path you can be very successful. Kind of takes money to make money to get that ball rolling, but once you do it, it moves. The other way is the path I decided to, because I didn't have a bunch of money to start paying $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 a month for those leads, is just take the few people I had closed at the time in the beginning and just spoil them and nurture them and just say, look, you're my people. I'm going to take care of you, just not during the transaction, but after the transaction, hoping that my business would spread based off their experience and referrals from there. And so that's with that, there is a lot of follow-up and a lot of client activity and engagement and stuff that happens after the closing that really you've set up those processes for. And we can dive into some of those things if you want to get into the specifics, but I know one of them is January 1, or when we're planning the year. Did we do that in December? November?
I think we did. Yeah, we did it before the beginning of the year.
We plan out what the year's going to look like in every event, where it's going to be, who's invited, what sponsors are going to be there, right? Just coordinating all of that, which sounds, it's a lot. I mean, it really is a lot.
Yeah.
So are there other things that come to your mind that we do just kind of spoil our clients throughout the year besides those events?
So we handwrite birthday cards and send those out. We make sure that if there's anything going on, they know about it. When I came on board, we started the newsletter. And so we have a monthly newsletter that goes out that lets them know, not just like, hey, use me as your realtor, but these are the best places to look for Christmas lights in Hoover, or, the best coffee spots, or just things that they may be interested in. We make sure that we have a system in place where you are calling them regularly and checking in on them. If they have a special thing happening in their life, like a lot of your clients are in the family phase, and so they're having babies, and, we send them gifts and just let them know that we're thinking about them and that you care about them as their realtor. I think that's super important. Yeah.
One of the things you've helped me do is go back from 12 or 13 years, however long it's been, and organize, because if we're, doing in between 40 and 60 deals a year, it's hard to keep up and track all that. And so that's one of the things you've helped organize a good bit. So let's talk about the team. So you came on, and then you've actually helped me bring on new people onto the team as well, which has been super helpful for me, because I'm not good at vetting and hiring. I'm
Yeah.
just like, just pick somebody up. Let's go. Let's move forward, which is not the greatest thing to do. So I kind of dumped that on you this year to say, hey, let's look for a new transaction coordinator.
Yeah.
And call me when we've got somebody.
Yeah.
And I kind of left it at that, right?
Yes.
Which you probably didn't appreciate too
No,
much,
it's
but
fine.
but you nailed it, right?
Yeah.
Jesse's incredible. Kind of talk through that process.
Yeah. So I think we work really well together because your brain works one way and my brain works another way, and so we just make it work. But so through the process of like hiring someone, bringing people on, I feel like during the time that I've been with you, I've gotten to know you pretty well. And so I know what you expect from your employees and what you need on the team. So, if you have a transaction coordinator, I know the qualities that person needs. Or like John for the virtual assistant, I know the type of video styles that you like. I know that you, prefer certain things. So just trying to find someone that meets those qualifications that can be an asset to the team and help us grow. And I think that more so, you and I talked about this when we were bringing Jesse on too, is you can teach people skills. You can teach people things. It's more important that we find someone with the right attitude who wants to grow with the team, who wants to do a good job and be successful. So that was a huge part of it, is just trying to find someone who I think would be a good fit with us and want to grow with the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk to the business owner, more specifically the realtor that may or may not ever listen to us on here, and they don't have any. Maybe they have a virtual assistant and that's it, or maybe they don't even have that, and they're just in this hamster wheel of cycles of I've got a lot of clients, so all my transactions and paperwork and scheduling and planning is out the window because I'm showing 8 hours a day, to where now everything's under contract. I'm not showing it all. And I'm trying to market, but now I don't have any, and it's just a big up and down, which we try to make that as stable as possible. And having people like you really do that for me. Like we're not super cyclical.
Yeah.
We stay pretty steady. So for the agent out there who is up and down a lot, what do they need?
So I feel like they need someone to come in and, like I said with us, you know what your strengths are and you know what your weaknesses are, and you're very open about that, and I appreciate that. And you always say, you've taught me this, that you want the right person in the right seat on the bus. You say that a lot. And I think that it is so true. If you are really good at, going out and making deals and doing things, then you may not be as good at the fine details or, remembering to follow up sometimes or, just different things. And so finding someone who can meet you where you are and someone who has the same mindset as you. I know you have a growth mindset personally. And so I do as well. And so I think finding someone who can match your energy, who can help take you where you want to go and just kind of meet the needs that you aren't able to fulfill because you're so busy or because they're just not your strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and we talk about the right person on the right seat on the bus, which is not an original idea. I forget what book it's from, but it comes from a book. But we also talk about unique ability, which I've talked about on the podcast before. But finding items that need to be done, that need to come off my plate or off the agent's plate, that just they have to get done, but they don't fire that person up. And you got to find someone who loves doing that kind of stuff, that they're great at it, and it does fire them up. Kind of like you said, we work we think very differently, and you're great at what I'm horrible at. And so having you come in and organize those things is super helpful. So, okay. So would it be, so you're executive assistant, so you're not just real estate, you kind of cover everything. So speaking to that agent again, do they need to go transaction coordinator? Do they need to go just executive assistant to help organize first? What's the first hire?
So I feel like it's going to depend on, again, just the person. If they are a rock star at transactions, they love doing paperwork, they like that aspect of it, I would say go with an executive assistant who can help in other areas. If they absolutely hate paperwork and they just don't want to do it at all, they would rather have someone to offload that to, I would say transaction coordinator. But initially, I take that back. Now I say I feel like an executive assistant would be good if you have the right person there because they can help tell you what you need.
Yeah.
So you may not even realize what it is that you need. You may need someone to come in and organize things. And I think that having someone, again, like with that loves to do that, it is a big deal because since I've been working with you, I honestly don't feel like it's work. I've planned events and I get to talk to people and we get to do lots of things, which you're more than a realtor. You have a lot of things going on, but it's always fun and I really enjoy doing it. I'm good at it and just finding that person that can be that for you.
Yeah. Well, so we teased about it a second ago, and let's talk about some other stuff that you do because it's not just the real estate background, but Notion, which again, if John can throw up a little picture of that, but
right
that has here it is. That has our real estate, right? Our whole team, our goals, our events, our everything to do with the Blake Schultz team.
Podcast stuff, it's all there.
Stuff. But we also have 3 Acres Equipment Rental, which launched last year, and the scheduling and coordinating and payments and you built all that out. Yes. I mean, from me saying, hey, I bought a piece of equipment, let's make a rental company. That's about all the direction I gave you, right? And then I think I called Gabe. No, we didn't even make it an LLC because it's another LLC doing business as. So we didn't. So yeah, I think that's all I did. And then I was
You're like, I think I want to do this.
Let's make a company.
Okay.
Yeah. And then 24 hours later, I buy 2 pieces of equipment.
Yep. Here we are.
So you built a website.
Yes.
You've built. I'm not going to try to guess what all.
Yeah.
What all went into that.
So for 3 Acres, that's kind of what we did. We have a platform where you can rent. We had really nice business cards made. We have systems in place. We have billing. We have all that good stuff. Then you also, I know you've talked about on here, the castle that you own. Yep. We've also set up an Airbnb, a VRBO. We go through a platform called Hospitable, and so we're able to tie all that together. We've gotten it set up. We've gone through the trial and error of having a short-term rental together and figuring that out with cleaners and all that stuff. Most recently, I don't know if you've talked about this on the podcast, but we did the Mardi Gras parade in Bluff Park,
yep, that was
which was huge. Yep. And so you do a lot of things like that too, where you like to do community outreach and things in Bluff Park. So doing that kind of stuff.
Well, let's come back because again, going back to the castle, because that was a lot of construction on the front end, which was kind of where my hands were. And I said, while I'm doing this and finishing it out, launch Airbnb and go.
Yeah.
And so you looked up what's the best platform, Hospitable one. Let's research cleaners. We've gone through a couple. We've got a great one now who ended up being our landscaper and kind of repair guy. It just all in one is fantastic. Turno, we've got him up on that app to where it tracks. The whole idea was let's automate this as best we can to where we're not there every single day or having to interact. Now it's not passive investing. It's not just mailbox money, which everyone thinks real estate investing is. Yeah, definitely. But it's as automated, I think, as it probably could be without someone living on site out there just kind of taking care of everything. So
I mean, we're an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
And we only go out there maybe once a month to make sure things are running smooth. So I feel like it is pretty automated. And from that, we started doing Renaissance fairs, which was super fun.
Yes.
Trying to find ways to market the castle and just interesting ways reaching out to gaming communities and doing that research too. Yeah,
which led to, I think, our first wedding getting booked. And then last week they canceled. But still,
we're headed in the right direction.
It's getting a lot of attention. I think it's just repetition and consistency through those. So we've got a schedule of Renaissance fairs this year that we've come up. We've got kind of our setup and breakdown pretty much put together with tents and tables and suits of armor and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so we got the castle taken care of. Then we moved on. We did the Mardi Gras parade this year, which was huge. Who knew you had to have insurance and pay for police and barricades and I mean the
all
stuff
the
that
things.
went into it was way more than we ever thought, but you nailed it. It was bigger. It was I would have considered it a success if we had 400 people. I was like, that'd be huge.
And
I think it was like 11 or 1200 people
at least.
It was crazy.
So many people.
Next year's going to be even bigger. We've already started planning and we will leave that teaser just there. We won't give any other information out, but it's going to be huge. A lot more events than just the parade for next year. So stay tuned for that.
It'll be fine.
What else do we have?
What else do we have going on?
We're working on something we can't talk about.
Yes.
Yet.
Something pretty big.
something huge, which will not be a, here you go, Amber, figure it out.
Yeah.
It is a multiple employees. It's a big purchase. So that is another teaser. We're just throwing out a lot of teasers today.
Yeah.
That's going to be huge. So, and game changer for part of what we're doing now.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, so you have, you have your residential real estate business. You have a lot of commercial properties. We're in one right now filming this. So we do, those things, trying to fill those slots in those commercial spaces. The podcast, we have the podcast as its whole own thing that we work on, planning that out and finding guests and things for that.
Well, that's one thing you took over this year was going back to the investment side of my business, because that's always, call it Shubin LLC. That's always been kind of separate, and you haven't really touched that until this year. And we've kind of started to introduce a little bit of it. You've helped. The biggest thing for me, just the kind of pain in my butt, is maintenance repairs on just any property, right? I feel like that's something that is easily automated that I've just never taken the time to do. Yeah. And it's just it always just slips in the back of my mind, and then it's bad for the property, the tenant experience, and everything. So that's one thing you've done this year, is set up an automation of that, which is huge. You've got a vendor list. It can go to the plumber, electrician, roofer, whoever it is. So that was a huge weight off my shoulders. Yeah. And once that work was done to implement it, then it's like, okay, that's automated. Now what can we automate next? Yeah. And so a lot of automation in our business for sure. There will be, I think, more and more of that introduced, because you don't really touch the really anything else besides the marketing. Well, we're doing marketing on some of the bigger commercial, like apartment, commercial, and retail buildings. Anything else on that side of it?
I don't think so. No.
That's probably enough. Yeah. What else do we have?
You have it's not with 3 acres, but you also have a rental truck that you allow your clients to use for free. Yeah, a box truck. So scheduling maintenance on that and doing
it's been a headache.
Yeah. But we go through that the right way as well. So people have to do their insurance and things like that. So getting that platform up and running and doing that. I'm trying to think.
Well, that kind of helps with 3 acres as well, because it was a Honeybook.
Yeah.
You set up for the box truck, and so clients want to use that, or if you're not a client and want to use it, we do charge for it as well. And you go through this platform that you just book the calendar, you can pay through there. It's all done. So when we launched 3 acres, it was just adding equipment, adding another thing to rent on there. And we did get Gabe, my brother-in-law, who's the attorney, to actually write up the contract and get it all legal and protected.
Yeah. I feel like that's pretty all-encompassing. At the beginning of the year, I did that organizational map of everything that we do. So I'm trying, in my head, I'm like going through that. I think we've covered a lot of it.
Done a pretty good job staying on track, throwing a couple curveballs into there as expected, but you probably left some room on that track to say, okay, Blake's going to come up with something that's not even close to any of this, and we'll just leave room for that. But well, cool. What else do we need to go over?
I feel like just you are always saying, I think, for your fellow business owners that do not have an assistant, you're always like, man, you need to get one. You just need to understand the value. And so my hope would be that people would watch this episode and see the power that an executive assistant could have for someone, just coming in and helping you organize and being that person for you when you're not able to do something, or when you have so much going on that they can just step in and help. And
yeah. Well, one of the things we can get into the weeds a little bit on that. One of the things that you've done and we've talked about was when we bring someone on, and this is the fear that I've heard from other agents when I say you've got to get somebody. Say, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
Say, well, my answer is you can't not afford it.
Yeah.
Like you're but we give a 90-day trial. And we say, and you're very good at, hey, here's the expectations. Here's what we need. Here's on a weekly basis. And then in 90 days, like we'll commit to you, as long as you roughly follow what we're talking about here. We'll review in 90 days. And then if you're not really doing it, we're reviewing throughout weekly. We're talking every day, but weekly reviewing on what you did last week, what you're doing this week. Yeah. Are you hitting your benchmarks? In 90 days, you're both going to know, hey, is this a good fit or not? Right? And so agents out there, you're committing to 90 days, if that, like at max, right? And you've got reserves for 90 days, right? I mean, you got to do it. Because what you'll see is now before you make that hire, organize exactly what this person's going to be doing. Don't hire and then just run in circles like, oh, I got to find out, right? Figure out exactly what they need to be doing. What are the benchmarks? And if you need help doing that, call us, right? And I'll give you Amber's number because she has all the information. But no, we'll give you that because, I mean, if you're a better agent and we're doing a transaction with you, that makes our job easier as well because that means Amber's not having to go or Jesse's not having to go do something for you because you're out showing and you don't have time to do the transaction side. So, if you need help with that, reach out to us.
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually thought about, like putting together a little, like not a course, but just like help for people who don't know what to do and where to start.
Yeah. Well, and that, again, I was in that same boat when I hired my first coach. He was like, first thing we're doing is hiring you an assistant. And I had the same, I was like, how am I going to pay him?
Yeah.
And he was like, you're setting this aside and we're going to do it. And I was like, well, what are they going to do? So I think that is super helpful and kind of being able to see, being on this side of it, talking to myself 8 years ago is like, man, like I wish I'd done it day one. I wish I'd have had you day one and who knows where we'd be now.
Yeah.
But here we are. So cool. Anything else?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you got something out of this. Before we go, any books or podcasts or anything that you're reading or listening to that maybe not even business oriented. If they are, then you can shout those out.
Yeah. So I am not reading anything business related right now. I actually read a lot of parenting books because I have two little girls. And so I am big on just being the best parent that I can be. Right now I'm reading The Whole Brain Child, which just talks about the different emotional and social aspects of parenting and how to make yourself a better person so you can be a better parent. So that's a good book. I would recommend that. Yeah.
I like it. Awesome. Yeah. If people want to find out more about you, is there a specific social media or platform they should go, or should they just go to call me first?
They can call you.
I'll vet who it is to see if they're.
They can come to you.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Till next time.
Okay.